Hello, everybody. How you doing out there in podcast land? It is just a smidgen past 9 o'clock, coming to you live from South London. How you all doing? It's been a much cooler week in the UK, so we're really enjoying it. But they forecast it's going to come back. The evil thing in the sky is coming back just for a little bit more. So no, we don't want that. Had a really lovely show last week with Dawn. It was awesome. And I know my fellow host who's with me tonight. She was like really gutted she couldn't be part of it last week, and she would have really enjoyed it. But we have a very special host for me tonight. She's been with us before, and she's so much fun that I just have to have her back so we can play again. So I'm going to bring in my lovely co-host for the evening, Sparkle. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Well, I'm all the better for seeing you.
And so you should be.
Yes, I am. And look how lovely suntan you've got there, babe.
I have been out in the sun quite a bit recently.
Smoozling with other people. I know. I've seen the pictures.
Yes, I did go away for a little while. Remember when we had our last heat wave in the UK?
Yes.
I attempted to run away from it.
Yes.
So I went to Copenhagen for a week, and it said that it was only supposed to get to 24 degrees, and it got up to 28 degrees whilst I was there. And I did a lot of walking. I was outside quite a lot. I am very sunburned, which is actually turning to tan for probably the first time ever.
I see. I haven't even bought myself unless I have to go out in it. I just don't want to go out in it because it's like bright light, you know. It's I feel like, you know, what's his name? Mogwai? You know, I feel like him, bright light, because it's just cute. And so it's just bad. So, but I'm really glad you're here tonight. I'm gutted you missed Dawn last week because she would have loved you. You're amazing. And I really love the fact that you are here for this show tonight because you and I have this subject in common because it was something that since your latest trip to Copenhagen, you can actually come back and say this to me because what we're looking at tonight is I need to put the glasses on now because I can't see.
I don't mind.
I have to put them on. Okay, now I can see. I want to say hello to everybody that's joining us in the comments and just watching us. Even if you're just stalking us and we don't know you're there.
Lurking.
Yes, lurking
that's the
in the background. Lurking in the background. I'm here. We are glad you're joining us because it's Sunday. It's Wicked Women. You have two women hosts. What more do you want? So the subject: where do we truly belong? Because I'm gonna say this to you. Have you ever walked into a place that you've never been to before, and somehow it has felt like home? And it's not because you recognize it. It's not because you've been there before, but something deep inside you went, hang on a minute. This feels familiar.
Completely. Absolutely. I mean, one of the places is actually your flat.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I walked in there, I felt like it didn't feel strange to me. It was almost like, yep, this is comfortable. I'm fine with this.
Like you've been here before, right?
Yeah, completely.
And all the spooks seem to like you here, like all the ghosties and everything.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Oggy's here.
Every time.
Because I understand completely. And it's like, is there somewhere else in the world that's been waiting for us? And I want to go a bit further here so we can look at the picture I'm trying to bring up, because we're looking at three things tonight: our choices, fate, and destiny. And the moment we're born, we're given a country, family, identity, a language, culture, a name. And we don't really pick any of those because they're given to us from the time we're born. You know, we're just given them to.
Luck of the draw.
Exactly. We make none of those choices, and they're simply given to us. But that's just the beginning of our journey. And I think as we go through our life, we go down many, many different paths. And I'm going to use this as an example because one person may say to me, oh, do you know what? I'm really drawn to Italy. Another one might say, I'm really drawn to Copenhagen. Another one might say, I'm drawn to Egypt. Another one might say, I really want to go to America. I don't know why, I've just got to go to America. Long before we've ever gone there, and they might have seen them on telly or something, but they long before they go there, what is it that is calling them to go? Is it curiosity, coincidence, they've seen something, or is there something deeper that calls to us?
That's an excellent question. I like that. So one thing that I have been investigating recently are, I think they're called your lifelines, I believe. So when you're born, the stars, the planets, they are aligned in a certain way.
Yeah.
And you have lines that go across the world.
Astrocartography or something like that?
Yes, astrocartography. Yes. And along these lines, you have your love line, you have your Mars line, which can be strength, can be aggression, depends how you want to interpret it. And there are certain places where you look at it and you think, yeah, I think that it comes up as somewhere where you would probably thrive. And sometimes they cross over, and it could be 3 different things cross over in the same country or in the same city even, which is incredible.
Sure.
Now, for me, I like it. I do like it. And I would like to go to different cities across each of these lines just to experience and to see as to what's going on in that area and see if I feel any different.
Sure.
But then for me, there are certain places I've been in my life which aren't on any of those lines. So I'm completely contradicting myself. But it's very interesting to see, well, not necessarily see, but feel. Because like you said, you can walk into somewhere and just go, okay, I belong here. This feels right.
Deja vu. But also, like, for me, I always wanted to go to America. It was always growing up. It was like I was always drawn to American. And I think a lot of that is we grew up with it on the telly. There was a lot of American culture, music, movies, etc., etc. And so when I found myself in the land of the maple, it was never part of that picture. I never found, I never dreamed that I'd end up staying in, going back and forth to Calgary for 2 years. And I always thought that my life was in Britain. I always thought, I'm because I come from that generation, which is like you get up, you get married, you become a secretary, you have 2.3 children, the Labrador, the picket fence, and my life didn't turn out that way. My life didn't go down that path. So I never wanted it to go down that path, to be fair. Yeah. But I wanted some of it, just maybe not all of it. But it was, Canada was never on the list. It was one of those things, I'd love to see the mountains and everything like that. But it was never where I thought, yeah, I'm going to belong there. And I remember when I went out there on the first time I went on the plane, first time I've ever gone long haul, 9.5 hours on the plane, getting out there thinking, what the hell am I doing? I don't know anyone here. I don't know any. I speak English, but that's about it. And it was really weird because when I found myself in Calgary, something really amazing happened to me that I still find really hard to explain. And I think you'll know because you'll come to your story in a second. But for the first time in my life, I had the most healthiest relationship I'd ever had with myself. I was thousands of miles away from everybody I ever knew, no familiar life, no friends, no family, no comfort zone. There was nowhere to hide. It was just me. And I had to rely on myself. I remember like holding out my ear thinking, is that a British accent? I had to rely on myself. I had to discover who I really was. And then as I was doing that, another feeling started to happen. And it was like, hang on a minute, this doesn't feel foreign. This feels familiar. And maybe something inside me recognized something that I didn't, that I had no idea knowing. It was almost like something had taken me there and it opened up and it awakened me. Almost like I hadn't discovered, or I wasn't discovering Canada. I was returning to it. And I've been to other places since, and I've never recreated that feeling that Calgary has given me. Now, I did I'm going to come on to that in a while, but astrocartography, I did that too. What I didn't realize is that my line runs straight through Alberta, straight through Calgary too. So, and when I was there, I felt like my energy was lifted, my vibration was lifted. It was like I was finally the person that I wanted to be. Not because I still had my disabilities, I still had my health problems, etc., yada yada, but it was like my energy. And sorry, it was just the dog dropping something on the floor. As he does. But it wasn't. And another thing I discovered, that Canada wasn't new to my family. I found out that on my dad's side, I think it's my great grandfather, he was out there working on the rails. Like he was out there, doing the whole,
It's in your blood at that point then.
Exactly. And my uncle left England after the Second World War and built a ranch in Ontario. Or as English says, Ontario, but as they like to say in Canada, Ontario. And suddenly Canada wasn't just part of my story. It started to make me think, is it in my DNA? Is it in my blood? Is this a familiar memory that's been passed down from my ancestors? Because I know from what my dad has told me and what my brief conversation I had with my uncle before we lost him, when they went there, they were like, never wanted to come back because there was something about the country that made them feel alive. So I'm now thinking to myself, Sparky, this place is waiting for me. And it was it's in the DNA. And you've had something similar with that, haven't you?
I have, yes. And just to touch on that as well, I think a very interesting thing to think of in regards to lineage and things like that. If you look, say, for example, you've got a family of ducks. Stick with me on this. You have a family of ducks who, for generations upon generations, have walked from one side of a field to another side of a field.
Yeah.
Humans come along, they build a road in the middle of it. The ducks forever still want to cross that road because it's in their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's quite an interesting thing to think of with that as well.
If you think about it, they talk about that we have our mothers, our grandmother carried us and our mother, and we've still got all their DNA in us. But it's almost like these are male, this is my great grandfather and my uncle. But it feels like it's passed down in the DNA. And I never thought that when I went out there. And this is what's made me wonder when it comes to this. Is it waiting for us? And until we get there, a memory opens, or do we feel that pull before we go? What was your story?
So for me, I, as I mentioned earlier, went to Copenhagen recently. And I had such a strange moment when we were coming into land where I was looking out of the window and it didn't look alien to me. It didn't feel like I was in a different country as such. I knew I was, but it didn't feel like what I thought it should feel like.
Yeah.
And I found, whilst I was walking around Copenhagen, because I did a lot of walking when I was there, a serious amount, which shocked me. And I found that there was no fear. There was no, what if I get lost? I felt like I could always find my way back, no matter where I went. And whoever I spoke to, I felt like it was such an easy conversation.
Sure.
And the whole time I'm thinking, it just feels right. It just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the other things I found is I have a favorite place in Copenhagen, which is Tivoli Gardens. Now, that is the second oldest amusement park in the entire world. I think it was 1843 it opened,
Wow.
something like that. And as soon as I walked in there, it took me all of about 10 minutes to know my way around. And there's a little lake. And as I'm walking around this little lake, I felt like I never wanted to leave. Never wanted to leave. And now this is right smack bang in the middle of Copenhagen. I was walking down the harbour side, and there was something about the water where the water felt familiar.
Mm.
Even I had a moment. So I can swim, but I've always had a fear of the water because I nearly drowned when I was a kid. When I was in Copenhagen, I got in the harbour. I didn't jump like the others did because I was like, no, I'm not even risking that. But I got in the water. And normally, if I get in water and I can't touch the bottom or I can't see past my feet or anything like that, I freak.
Me too.
I freak out completely. I've gone in this water and I'm swimming around for like 40 minutes with no issues whatsoever. And it was that moment where I thought, oh my God, what is happening? This isn't me now. This isn't me last week, for example.
Sure.
If you'd have put me somewhere in the UK and went, go swim in that lake, I'd told you very politely where to go.
Yeah.
But as soon as I got in this water, it was crazy. Because it was like I felt safe, yet I'd never been in that water before. I'd never been in that location. I knew as soon as I got to where I was staying which direction the water was, and finding my way around was just so easy. And obviously the buildings are so old, but there was something comforting about these buildings. I'd never seen them before, but I stand in front of the building and just think, yes, this feels right.
Familiar.
Can't explain it in any other way.
And that's why I come up with that question, like, is a place somehow woven into our bloodline? And we're tapping into our ancestors and where they came from? Or are you following your own path, or are you following theirs? Because it would raise a bigger question that if we're naturally drawn to someone, we're also instinctively pulled away from others. There are some places that I have gone and I've gone, I'm not going there. I'm not going in there. I can't. It gives me the EBs. I've never been here before. I just can't. I can't handle it. Some countries do that to me. Some, like for instance, I've never wanted to go to Spain. Never ever wanted to go to Spain. I mean, apart from the fact that they do bullfighting and stuff like that, which is incredibly barbaric, but I've never wanted to go. It's never appealed to me. I just don't feel drawn to it. But I mean, like, Italy was a country I felt completely drawn. Didn't want to live there, didn't want to be there, but was drawn to it. But with Calgary, it was like, I can't explain it to you. I cannot explain it. And I do believe that the same thing can happen with people. Have you ever met someone like we did for the very first time, and something went, wow, like you feel so familiar, and another time it's gone, be careful.
Very much so. Very much. Because obviously when we first met, I think we'd
I gave you my car.
You did.
I mean,
because we'd vaguely possibly seen each other by just crossing paths the year before. Then we met each other after a con where I obviously went, hang on, there's an Impala, I want to go take pictures of it.
Hot.
And then obviously because I'd taken pictures, we spoke, and again, like we were stood next to each other. Yeah. And it was like this was just a regular day-to-day conversation.
Sure.
It wasn't normally I'd be like, oh hi, this is me, and I just wanted to say that you've got a really nice car, but it wasn't even like that. You do have a very nice car. But it was just a very casual conversation, and you said, okay, if you've got pictures, then send them to me on Instagram. And I sent you a few pictures on Instagram, and immediately you went, it's going to be easier if you send them to me on WhatsApp. Here's my number. And I just sat there and went, you what? Okay, that's no worries. And then we spoke probably, I don't know, but nearly every day for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably. And then we saw each other because I came to another convention basically just to come and see you, to be honest.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Exactly, right. Exactly. I was drawn moth to a flame.
Exactly.
And then it was that moment because it was the Saturday.
Yeah.
I'd gotten with someone else. It was before I had a car. And you said to me, "Oh, are you coming tomorrow?" And I said, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to try and get here. And you went, "Take my car." What? Yeah,
here's the keys.
Give me a license. I'll put you on the insurance, and then you can take the car and then just bring it back tomorrow.
I did.
Okay.
Your face was like, "Ba-dong."
And I was driving home, and I'm just sat there going, "Yeah, in your car." I'm sat there going, hang on, what just happened?
Yeah, I know. What? I know.
And I remember waking up in the morning and going, I really need to get this car back. I do actually need to go back today because I have a car that is not mine, that is parked out the front of my house. I'm so confused.
I remember like Mark saying to me, like, he was like, "You've just given her your car." I'm like, "Oh no." He's like, aren't you worried about that? I was like, "No, I didn't give the Impala. I gave my other one." And he said, "Oh yeah, that's okay." And I said, "She'll be back. She'll be back." And you were. And but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you meet someone and it just clicks, and it's just like, whether that's a friendship, whether that's a romantic, whatever, it just clicks. And it's like, have we met someone before? Why do you feel so familiar? Why do I feel at ease with you? Or why don't I feel at ease with you? Because I've also met people where I've gone, no,
oh God, yeah.
No.
My radar is so hot on that. So very hot on that.
Yeah.
I know when I don't want to be on my own with someone. Or if I just don't want to interact with them at all.
And sometimes you have to professionally, which you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, no. And I've had to do that a couple of times and be really, really nice to them. But, you know, I want to look into this whole feeling familiar with a country. Where do we belong? Who do we belong with? Etc. Etc. Because, you know, maybe being in another country or maybe being drawn to another country, maybe it's not the place that's changing us. Maybe the place simply gives us permission to become who we've always been. And for some reason, when we go somewhere and we feel at home and we feel like this is where I feel at home, we truly become the best version of ourselves. Many spiritual traditions believe that our souls are drawn towards certain people, certain places for various reasons, that we don't yet fully understand. And some also believe that we've lived before, which I do. Some believe we carry ancestral memories, another option. Another believe there is an invisible connection that connects us to a country, to a person, to a culture, and that science has yet to explain. And the thing about it, Sparky, if you think about it, let's look at astrocartography that you brought up before. Now, if anyone doesn't know what astrocartography is, it basically is you put in your date of birth, where you were born, and the time of your birth, and it actually does a chart for around the world, and it shows you where would be a very good place to start a business, find a relationship, build a home. Energy is where your vibration is high. I was born in England. What's gone wrong there? I mean, literally. But that it's controversial, and it's also very fascinating. Some places on your chart are for love, career, creativity, transformation, adventure, and whether you believe in it or not, it's an ancient wisdom or simply an interesting concept.
Stars and the planets are the oldest things that we have.
100%, and it certainly provokes a question. Could certain places bring out different versions of ourselves? Forget the holiday. Not going to America, Florida, or Spain or Greece or whatever. This is somewhere that you've gone that has a profound effect on you that you go, I wasn't expecting that. Could somewhere in the world feel like home before we've even arrived there? And have I unknowingly traveled to this place in a previous incarnation, and it's resonated with me? And I think when I started to look into this subject, I found that it's absolutely huge, because a lot of people say, it was deja vu. I'm drawn to, when people say they're drawn to World War II, they're drawn to anything to do with World War II, and the music, the fashion, the war, planes, or they're drawn to, they do reenactments, they do and they're drawn to that time. Like there's something about them that draws them, they can't say. And I wonder sometimes if this is our ancestral history or DNA calling to us.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I'll throw a little spanner in, because that's what I like to do.
You do.
Obviously, Copenhagen that's my area, and that's Northern Europe. I spent 5 years of my teenage years growing up in Germany. So for me, I also have that as a bit of a correlation. So as soon as I got to Denmark, everyone's driving on the correct side of the road. All of the street signs look like they're supposed to. The food looks and tastes like it's supposed to, for my brain. Now, I haven't seen anything in because I did a bit of ancestry, only up my mum's path, because I can't find any information about my birth father's path. And I have been trying recently, because I've been trying to get an EU passport, but that's not worked. But mostly what I can find is Scotland and Ireland.
Yes.
And that's like way back. But a funny thing with Denmark is there are no fjords anywhere in Denmark, or like around Copenhagen. So there were no Vikings from Copenhagen. So I have this question of, obviously Vikings, they would have come across.
Yes.
Is it possible with my blonde hair, blue eyes, and people thinking that I sometimes do look Eastern European rather than Western European? Do I have that in my DNA somewhere? Is that why I'm drawn to water? Is that why I like hot dogs so much? Right? Because it is a delicacy in Denmark. And there are so many questions regarding that. And I love looking at family history and just seeing what I can find. And I wish I could go back far enough to actually see. Because because from Denmark, if you travel directly west, you end up in Scotland. So my granddad on my mum's side is Glaswegian.
Yeah.
So if we keep following him up, are there Vikings? You know? So
I think
there's
it's probably
mine.
safe to say that Britannia had so many invaders. I mean, I did Ancestry myself, and mine show France, Denmark. It also shows Belgium, Scotland, Ireland, obviously the UK, Normannic, I can't pronounce it, but it was like Normannic Germany, and so I've obviously got Celtic and Saxon ancestry. I believe that we carry that DNA all the way back from our ancestors, all the way to who we are now, whether that's our eyes, our colouring, our toes, as we talked about before. I'll give you this little tip, people. If you have your toes and you have your big toe, and here's your big toe, pretending it, and your next toe is actually longer than your toe, you have more Celtic Saxon blood. Whereas if you have smaller toe or the same size as your toe, like slightly below it, just slightly over, you're more Saxon. And that was done from an ancestral dig of over many, many years of skeletons, and actually working, and obviously where we didn't wear shoes and so much, and what our peat and different land. But I do think our lives are shaped by our own experiences, but I also think we're also shaped by our ancestors, even if we don't know it, even if we're not. Some people aren't interested in it. But for me, I wanted to learn more about it, because if you think about it, throughout history, people from almost every culture have believed that certain places carry a significance that goes beyond geography. Just checking in. Pilgrims travel thousands of miles to places, to worship, to give thanks. People return to landscapes they've never forgotten or they feel drawn to and they need to see. And some people, and this is what happened to me, some people describe walking into a city or a town and feeling alive. And that's what happened to me. When I went to Calgary, I woke up. I became alive, and I had to have a relationship with me, and I got to know me really well. And I realized that I was all right. It's took me, and I think all these years, we don't have a relationship with ourselves. We watch telly or on social media or in a relationship, or we're worried about money, or we're looking, it's so much on, we don't really get to know who we really are and where we come from. And because when I was out there, I had to do that. I had no one else to rely on. I had just me. And I remember ringing up my mom saying, I wish you were here to, see what I'm seeing through my eyes. But I often think that we have to start asking our questions. When you talk about where do you want to emigrate to, people go, oh, I'd love to go. New Zealand is a country that people talk about a lot. I'd love to move to New Zealand. I'd love to go to Canada. I'd love to go out to, Australia, using those as example. Why? Why are you drawn to them? Is it financially? Is it the weather? Is it the social? What calls you? Now, I had two friends that did this. They were like, we're going to Australia. We're going. It's going to be fabulous. They sold everything up. They got their visas. They gave everything up. They were there for 6 months and they went, I can't stand it. I'm coming home. I can't. It's not, we can't do this. For me, I never wanted to come back. I never wanted, and still find it very alien to be in the United Kingdom, and I'm trying to get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah,
because it's like I've arrived in the United, as Mark has said in previous things, in this lifetime, I was born in the United Kingdom. I was born in English Seoul. That just makes this life, or whatever which way you look at it, I'm British. I have that, but that means my ancestral line goes way beyond Britain, way beyond.
Completely.
Like yours.
Yeah, completely. Because I find as well with being British, we are a very mixed culture in regards to just our own bloodline.
Blended.
Yeah. Like from whether it be from Europe, whether it be from further afield. We are such a mix, and I like that. I really do. And I like trying to go back. I want to do one of those one of the DNA tests just to see, because what I'm doing at the moment to try and find my ancestry is literally just ticking back, trying to find who's my grandparents, who's my great grandparents.
Need to do that, which is what I did. The DNA. Yeah.
I need to do the DNA test because I have to see what's going on in here, because there's a lot going on in here, and I know there's a lot going on in here, and I mean, one of the things that makes me laugh and has made other people laugh before is when I get very, very angry, my accent completely changes. I end up Scottish, and then it ends up somewhere else as well. You've not seen me properly angry. I don't know how. I don't know why, but it has always happened ever since I was young. Where I never met my granddad.
See, I'm the other way, you see, because when I lose my temper, South London comes out, and I'm like, no. And when I was in Canada, and obviously I lost my temper out there, I think they were quite shocked to see the because I don't. You forget how much being somewhere rubs off on you, and before you know it, you're like, I really don't want to sound like right from South London.
Well, it's because I've been over this way in Wiltshire. Every so often, I start talking like this a little bit more, and I'm like, I don't really want to be talking like this all the time, but okay, this is how it seems to be how it goes. All right.
See, I like that accent. I do, because my stepdad, he was from Wincanton.
Yeah.
So every time you do, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of Harry. But when we meet someone as well, sometimes it's all about timing. Our timing can be completely wrong. Sometimes we meet someone. Yeah. Sometimes we meet someone, looking at a love interest, using that as an example. Sometimes we meet someone and we think, oh, I'd love to be with them. I'd love to date them. It doesn't work out, or everything goes against it, or it's the wrong timing. One of you's not in the right place or mind. It doesn't work. The universe, in its wonder, if you're meant to have that experience, we'll bring it round again. We'll bring it round again and say, here you go. Right, we're giving this to you. But then after a while, if you don't take the lesson, or you choose to ignore it, the universe will go, well, okay, so this, then I'm moving you on. But there's a true statement. Nothing that's meant for us will truly pass us by, because we have to experience it. We're due to experience it. Looking back on my own life, I can see that many of my biggest turning points didn't come from certainty. It became with dramatic, or a feeling, or you get this gut feeling. And I always say to people, your head and your heart will argue, but your gut feeling is never wrong. And our gut feeling that says it's time to move, it's time to move on, it's time to leave, it's time to start again, because it's I believe, your soul, your psyche, whatever, going, move the fuck on, because if you're having Groundhog Day, nothing's moving, nothing's changing, it's because you're not changing. And sometimes we can't change because our circumstances in our life makes it very, very difficult. And I have been in that position for quite a long time now. It's like, what do I do? Yes, I have health issues, and they complement and
Complicate.
also and complicate.
Okay.
And
Complement and complicate.
they do in both, but it's also like my own life has not made it easy. But I've reached that point now where I'm like, I have to change my life. This is it. I am not prepared to sit back and wait any longer. And I don't need someone to come along and hold my hand. I will do it on my own. Because one thing I've learned is that if you put all your eggs in one basket, or you rely on someone else, they have a really horrible thing about letting you down again and again and again. And you only do that so many times before you go, fuck this shit, I'm out of here.
Yep.
So when you and I were talking about, the more we look at these questions, where do we belong? Where, you know, what is this connection? Words like fate and destiny were coming up. And I love that. I mean, I don't talk much and a lot of people have said to me on Wicked Women, let's talk more about spooky stuff and psychic stuff and stuff, which I am doing, because we have reincarnation and past lives coming up very soon, which would be really cool. Coming up in 3 weeks, I believe. Fate is often described as something that happens to us. A script is already written, and there's a point. Is there a script already written before we come down here telling us who we're going to meet, when we're going to meet them, what time we're going to meet them, what experiences we're going to have with them, whether it's good or bad? Because, you know, if you have a bad experience with someone, it pretty much puts you on a different road from that experience. And if you have a good experience, I think it enhances, fulfills your life. Destiny, like fate, is a script already written, or a path that's fixed. So it's fixed. Fate is fixed. I was meant to meet you. I was meant to be there. I was meant to love you. I was meant to have your baby, or whatever you want to put down. A path that's fixed before we arrive. But destiny, on the other hand, is often described as something we grow into. This was my destiny. I didn't know it at the time, but now I know it's my destiny. It's a future shaped by our choices, having the courage to go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. Because, you know, I remember when I got married to my ex-husband, and he said, you know what, Wendy, regardless of where our relationship goes, very few people will have his words, not mine, the bollocks to actually pick up their life, leave another country, get married, or whatever you want to do, and give it all up. Because we stay where it's safe. We stay where it's familiar. And when we're in our comfort zone, it takes a lot to actually pick everything up, go to another country or another town, or out of your comfort zone and start again. And I think that nudges happen in our life that go, come on. And you get that feeling. Do you know what I mean? You get that feeling
Absolutely.
in your head you've got to listen to.
Yeah, so I've got a funny thing about that as well. So it's one of those where I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and a lot of trying to figure out what it is that I'm doing, and knowing I've been pushing myself a lot recently because I know what direction I want to go in. And one of the things that I learned was that you're saying about safety and security, and the fear of leaving the safety and security is your ego attempting to keep you safe, because what it doesn't want is for something to go wrong and for you to go backwards as such. But the only way that you are ever going to grow is by moving out of that comfort zone and allowing your ego to grow with you.
Listening to your id.
Indeed. Because there's always going to be something in the future which is going to be beneficial to you.
100%.
And of course, there will be moments where you think, I shouldn't have done this. I wish I hadn't have done this. But every single moment that you go through is a learning experience. Whether you like it or not, you will learn something every single day, which is amazing if you think about it.
And you only get so many chances because life is like a sand, you know, the, what do they call those?
Sand timers.
You know, you turn it upside down and the sand's going through. When we're young, it seems like that sand's taking forever. Once you start get to a certain point in your life, the fucker doesn't stop going.
It's getting faster, Wend. I don't know what to do.
You're like, somebody slow this down. And it's like, it's seriously like that. And it becomes, I remember when I was like, I remember saying to Mum when I was 9, I can't wait till I'm 21, because when I'm 21, I'm going to be able to do what I want when I want. When I got to 21, what the fuck did I know? But, you know, my life took on a completely different way. And I think that now I'm the most comfortable I've ever been in my skin. Comfortable. Yes, I've had to live with health problems and disabilities and ups and downs, but you know what? It's who I am, and I'm proud of where I've come. But the question that I've always asked, if fate exists, if fate really exists, who wrote it? Who decides when we meet? Who decides when we're born? And who decides the opportunities that appear in our lives? Or are we asking the wrong questions altogether here?
So, a funny one for you. Way back in October, I had this conversation with Mum. And she was saying to me about how before we're born, it's almost like we go through a checklist of these are the experiences that I want to have in my life. These are the things I want to learn.
Yeah.
And the way that we were talking about it was the fact that before we come down here, as Mum put it, we decide our own fate. We decide our learning curves, when they're going to happen. And then you have that moment when something happens and you go, what was I supposed to learn with this? Why did I decide that this was going to be something that happened? Because obviously life is not just roses. And it's full of times for us to learn.
You're right. I mean, there's a good question. So what you're saying is we, the soul, chose this life, who we're going to meet, what experiences we're going to have. I need to keep my mouth shut in some of it in future, because literally I would not have chosen
the same thing.
I would not have chosen some of the stuff I've been through. Certainly some relationships I never would have gone down the road.
You and me both.
Last night I was watching one of my favorite movies called The Adjustment Bureau. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I have heard of it.
You need to watch it. The Adjustment Bureau is awesome. And it comes up with the question is, who's controlling our life? A higher power? You know, and the film imagines a world where unseen forces guide our life, and who we meet, where we go, which doors open, which ones don't, every decision, every encounter, every coincidence. So for instance, in the film, a couple falls in love and they're desperate to be together, but life keeps splitting them up, or the timing, or, you know, something keeps happening. And they're like, but why? You know, we want to be together. Everything's great. Because a higher power was like, no, you're not meant to be together. You're meant to come together to make something happen and move on. And eventually, I won't spoil it for you, but the story changes. But it's a very good question that human beings have been asking about themselves for thousands of years. What if there really is something or someone nudging us into a particular path, person, or direction? We think we're making those decisions because let me tell you, from a clairvoyant point of view, we have about this much free will. Everything has pretty much been decided down here before we come, who we meet, what we're going to do, the big experiences. We have about this much free will. what I'm going to wear, what car I might buy, what color, my toothpaste I'm going to use. Most of it is already ordained for us because we are a soul having a human experience, not a human having a spiritual. We are a soul inside our body. A lot of people in those cultures believe that. Christianity believes God, it's God's plan, or it's divine. In Hindu, karma and dharma suggests that our actions shape and our journey across many lifetimes. And we're always talking about karma, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
It was karma. They got karma. The ancient Greeks imagined the three fates, weaving, measuring, and cutting the thread of every human life together. And even in Norse Viking mythology, the Norse were said to weave the destinies of both gods and men together. So all these different cultures, different stories, different languages, they're all asking the same question in a different way. Why? Why is this happen? Why, because every human being reaches a moment in their life where they go, this seems too extraordinary or too much to be dismissed as coincidence. And I truly believe, as Carl Jung said,
I've heard so much of that.
There's no such thing as coincidence.
I've had so much of that in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's been scary. So, yeah. I mean, such a key part of when I was in Copenhagen, I met someone a few weeks beforehand who's very important to me. Started me down my streaming path, my voiceover path, and they were a fantastic person to speak to. And then I had tried to organize meeting up with this person for a drink when I went to Copenhagen, but it didn't come through. It just didn't happen. So I thought, okay, fine, whatever. It's not going to happen. I'll just deal. My first night of being in Copenhagen, I walked past him. And I'm like, what? What is just... And we both looked at each other and went, hello, what's happening? Why are you here and why am I here? And how are we here at the same time? This is what? And it was so strange because it was something that I had felt that I had wanted to do since that first meeting.
Sure.
And a similar sort of thing, like I mentioned to you, a similar thing as when I met you, when I met this person, we clicked immediately, and there was no question as to chatting together. There was nothing, and it was great. Again, when I was in Copenhagen, there was just silly things, very, very silly things. Like I would think, oh, I need to go and get the train. Let me figure out when the next train is. I'm standing on the platform. The train that I need then pulls in. Okay, fine, whatever. Or I end up in a specific place at... I went to a game studio. So one of my favorite game studios. I went over there thinking nothing of it. Nothing's going to come of it. I'm just going to stand outside for a bit and I can say, oh, I've been there. I saw the building. It was great.
Mm.
And I ended up being invited into the building and was given a little gift while I was in there as well. And it was just little things like that kept happening. Things kept going right.
They say that when you're on the right path, everything starts to pick up speed and starts to, but it's like, I believe that we know what our right path is, but we're just like, yeah, but what about this? What about that? Money, and religion and spirituality are very, very different things. And I'm a great believer of that. But the person you almost didn't meet, and this is one, the flight you nearly missed, or the flight that you did miss, because let's look at when the two towers came down. There were people that were supposed to be on that plane, and for some reason they were late, or something happened, they got up late, or the alarm didn't go off, or something happened, they were not on that plane that day. And so they were like, why am I still here? What? Because it was obviously not my fate or my destiny to be on there. And sometimes you have a conversation with someone that changes everything. You go away and it's with you. An opportunity that appears from nowhere puts you on a different path. The country you never thought that you would visit or live, but changed your life forever, which is what happened to me. I will be forever grateful that I was married to a Canadian who changed my life. Not because I had the wonderful marriage, sadly, but because having that opportunity experience changed my life, the way I think. I think I'm a much grounded, well-rounded person because of the time that I spent and the work that I did on myself as well. But maybe fate, let's look at that. Are they simply random events that we stitch together and go, well, yeah, that could have happened to anyone? Or are they signposts going, hello, that we're always waiting for us? Maybe fate gives opportunities and destiny is what we choose to do with them. Or perhaps both are humanity's way of trying to understand something much bigger than ourselves. But I don't know. But the point is my life already written? Is my path already written? And if life is opening these doors for us, showing us the signposts, do we have the courage to walk through them? How many people don't have the courage, Sparky?
So many. Because they'll see something which doesn't fit with the way that their brain is working that day or in that period of their time, in that period of their life. And instead of allowing themselves to step through that door, they hide in the safety. They hide in the known rather than allowing themselves to experience the unknown, which again allows growth and allows progress towards what could be your destiny. Now, destiny is that word has always kind of given me a little bit of a chill because destiny in my brain is destination. If I reach my destiny, then how soon after that am I done?
Yeah, like seriously. And that's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. I still believe and hope that my path, like yours, has got a long way to go. But if fate exists, where does that leave free will? Because I have this relationship years ago, and one of their favorite sayings was, I've got free will. I've got free will, and it's like, really? Yeah, maybe the toothpaste you put on, but that everyone's got different beliefs. Are we writing our own story, or are we simply reading one that's already been written for us?
Well, I go back to my earlier statement, really, of we potentially have written our own story before we've come down here, and now we're having to live the story, whether that is from a spiritual sense of when you say, for example, this is another one that I'm throwing up. Say, for example, not to be morbid, you're on your deathbed.
Sure.
And you think of all of the things that you didn't get to do in your life. Your next incarnation is then looking at what you didn't do in that previous life that you actually wanted
You
to
had
do.
many chances, you still didn't do it. You're going to go and do it all again. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is then where the zodiac comes into play. Because apparently Pisces is your last iteration.
You see, I've been I was watching something the other day, I think it was on the wonders of TikTok, when it said people that didn't have children or don't have children are on their last life because they're not leaving anything behind when they go.
Oh.
And I thought, I'm all right with that.
I'm doubly done then.
I'm all right with that. So let's have a look, because most of us like to believe we're in control. You know, we choose our careers, where we live, who we spend our lives with, what we buy, whether to stay or go. At least most of us try and do that. But let's think about our own life. How many decisions were entirely yours?
I'll be honest, I don't feel like many. I feel like a lot of it just kind of fell into place.
Yeah.
Things were put in front of me and I had to choose the best option for myself at the time, which wasn't really an option because there was only one viable option as such. So as much as life can be full of choices, I don't feel like I've actually been given many choices of which I could choose a different path, because there is a path that makes sense and there is the path that would completely undo everything that I'm trying to do.
See, I can relate, because I look back at my life and there are so many paths I wanted to go down and I couldn't, because my health stopped me, money stopped me, circumstances stopped me. And that's not my choice. I mean, you know, Dave talks about it's your choice. No, having bad health isn't your choice. Sometimes financially, being in a bad situation financially is not your choice. Sometimes you're in a relationship with someone and they don't want to be with you anymore, and, you know, they're having an affair with someone. That isn't your choice. But these are the things that are coming down into your life. And, you know, we're all influenced by our upbringing, our parents, education, religion. And religion is all about control. It's always been about control. And as I said, I'm different. Spiritual is different to religion. Religion is based on a book or people telling you what is right or what's wrong, right? Spirituality is finding your own path, finding your higher self, and having a relationship with source. And whatever feels, you know, everyone's spiritual path is different. And then what about expectations of other people? You should be doing this. When I went to Canada, a member of my family, I will not mention who, but a member of my family said, what are you going to Canada for? Your life is in the UK. You don't belong out there. You belong here. I don't understand why you're going over there. You need to be here. You're crazy. And I was like, this came from someone who has such a small, I never go out of my comfort zone and I stay in my own environment, and I would never do that. I would never know how to cope with that. And I'm not like that. I'm like, fuck it, let's just do it. If I've got the opportunity, if I physically can, I'm doing it. But other people put their expectations on us. And I think we all do that. We're all guilty of putting expectations of other people. But sometimes an opportunity, and I bring this up because this has happened to me very similar in my life recently. I give an opportunity again and again and again.
Yep.
Normally, I only give an opportunity twice. So the first time you can fuck up, you can make a mistake. You fucking do it again, you're out. I'm gone. But sometimes I can be incredibly silly and give more people more opportunities than I should. And I think sometimes we have to listen to ourselves and go, what the fuck are you doing?
It's that gut feeling.
Yes. And you know, how many opportunities do we have to have given to us? that are slapping us in the face going, come on, you've been given it again. Why are you not taking that opportunity? And it's like, oh no, you know, I'm still in the 3D mode, if you want to call it. Even the country we're born into shapes our destiny, dictates to us. You can't do this, you can't say that, you're not allowed to do that. You know, someone born in London, for instance, will never experience life from someone in Nairobi. You know, they're completely different. So our starting point, our family influences. Now, my nan was a bit of a girl. When my granddad died, bless his heart, she went, bugger this for a game of soldiers. I'm getting on every plane I can go and I'm going to travel around the world. And I think I get that from her because she went all around Europe. She never did long distance, sadly, but she went all around because planes back then were not great. But she went all around Europe and she loved it. And when she died, I inherited all her pictures. And there was like, here's Nan doing this, here's Nan doing that. And I think that inside me feels a trapped soul that is desperate to get out of my life. And not because my life is miserable here, because I have lovely friends who I love and family and situation, but I don't feel I belong in the United Kingdom anymore. I haven't felt like I belong in the United Kingdom for the last 20 years. It feels like my energy is low and pushed down. Whereas, you know, and when I went to Italy, when I went, you know, when I went to Ireland, using that as an example, always wanted to go to Ireland, was always drawn to Ireland. When I went there, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I've done this. I needed to do this. Didn't want to live there. Didn't want to belong there. So when I look at Canada, Copenhagen, and I go back to Canada, did I choose it or did it choose me? Was it always waiting for me? Could I have stayed in England and eventually learned exactly the same lessons? Or would I have become the same person today, Sparky, if I'd moved somewhere else? I'll never know that. But here's a question. If I'd stayed in the UK, would I be the person I am today? We'll never know that answer, because every decision we make takes us on to another path that we come. For instance, you know, I dated someone and they're now in Canada. So, you know, it's like, wow, maybe I was meant to be the
person who gets them across.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe that was my job at that point. Who knows? And here's a thing that I want to ask people that are watching. Maybe people can leave it in the comments. If the job you accepted means another you never worked there, so say you were offered 2 jobs and you picked one, and the other and that one didn't work out, you're thinking, oh my God, I should have taken that one. You know, why didn't I do that? The relationship you begin with someone, and there was perhaps someone else you could have gone with, and you picked the other person, means that you took you on a different path. The flight you cooked, the invitation you declined, etc., etc. But what happens if we ignore the quiet nudges and those inspiration, Sparky, those opportunities? How many opportunities and nudges have you ignored until you've actually gone, okay, I'm fucking listening now?
A lot. And I know if I look back, I mean, a big turning point for me, a massive one, was when I was 20 and I had my accident in the theatre. Mm. I then developed stage fright. It was the first time I ever had stage fright, ever in my entire life. And I'd been on stage since I was like 4 years old. And it completely... Give me a second. It completely changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
Because I knew from an early age what I was supposed to do. I knew. I am an entertainer. I am an actor. That is what I do. That is my life. And it always has been, and it always will be. And when I had my accident and I developed stage fright, I then developed social anxiety. I then developed, I then allowed things to happen to me that I would never normally have allowed to happen to me, which then changed me as a person. I look back on it, and it was 12 years ago. I've always wanted to go back to acting. It's the only thing I have ever wanted to do in my entire life. And I found a way of kind of going back into it by starting streaming. So me playing video games online and entertaining. That was a kind of an outlet for me.
Yeah.
With that, I then started playing a particular game where it was on a game called GTA. It's roleplay, where I had different characters that I would play, and it would be the whole thing is improvisation the whole time. And I'm improvising for 6 hours, and I'm having a fantastic time, and it's brilliant. And then I get to a point where that isn't viable for me anymore. So then I look into voice acting. And it was something that was kind of on my radar anyway, because I obviously play video games. So voice actors, video games, they sound like they have a lot of fun. So it was always something that I was looking into. And then in more recent years, I've started going back into live acting again to try and build up my confidence. I had a job a few years ago, which was sales, and I was in the field talking to people on a daily basis, having to stand in front of people, trying to get their attention in order to talk to them.
Yeah.
If that doesn't get rid of your social anxiety, I don't know what will.
Exhausting.
It was exhausting, but it was good fun because every single day was a performance. And I was good at it. And I knew I was good at it. And I did very well for those 2.5 years that I was doing those sales. And then from there, I started doing background artist work, TV, film. And in more recent years, I've been doing more voice acting again. So in the last 6 years or so, I've been creating, I've got my website with my examples on. I've got the auditions that I did another 5 auditions the other day. So I'm pushing myself back in the direction that I should have been in 12 years ago. At this point in my life, I should be so much further along than I am.
Yeah.
But all of the people that I have met in the last 12 years, because of my life changing direction, did my life actually change direction? Was that supposed to happen? So I met these people. So I went and did this sales job so that I could regain my confidence and be even more confident and have life experience to bring even more into my acting.
I think that's a very good point there, because you are a much more, because of what you've been through, the good and the bad, you are a more grounded, rounded person, and you bring so much more experience now to the job. But the problem is, I mean, I want to bring up something, because using it, so when I had chronic fatigue, I've relapsed many times in my life with it, and I've been bedbound, sometimes 9 months up to a year, and in a wheelchair, and it's not pretty, and stress or whatever has caused it, etc., etc. Inside, I was like, well, that's it, I'm done. I'm never going to get out of this bed. I'm never. And the one thing, it reminds me of that line in Game of Thrones where Daenerys says, the one thing that kept me going was not, the army, the dragons, or anything like that. It was faith in myself. And that's the one thing that kept me going. Get out of bed, get up, Wendy, get up. You know, you listen to your body today, rest or whatever, but get up. And people said to me, why are you going to Canada? So many people were against me. Some was jealousy, some was being nasty. Some people don't want to see people get on.
Some people don't want to see people succeed.
No, the Impala was another one. You'll never get a 67 Impala. You're never going to get that. And I have the potential to change people's lives, which I have done through that car. She has been a dream maker. She has changed people's lives, and I have done that, and I'm very, very grateful for it. I've trained as a counselor. I've worked in different areas because of my health, because of what I went through with my health. I have helped people stop themselves from doing something crazy, leave a relationship. It's taken me on many different paths, and he's also taught me, as hard as it was, and I've lost people I love. I lost babies and etc. And life's been difficult, but I still have that faith in me. Like you said, it might have taken me longer, and it might take me longer, but I will do it somehow, somewhere. I will do it. And I want to bring up this point: is what happens when we know we're in the wrong country, the wrong job, the wrong relationship, the wrong life, but we stay in it, not because we want to, but because leaving it feels impossible. Maybe you can't afford to, maybe the family depends on you, maybe you're caring for someone, maybe your fear is louder than courage. I'm going to do this, I'm going to make it happen. Because it's easy to talk, it's very hard to walk sometimes. Sometimes responsibility has to come first, and you're stuck in that position. You're like, I feel like a failure. I haven't done what I wanted to do. Like you're saying, it took me 12 years and I haven't done it. But does it mean that we've missed our destiny? Does it mean that we failed? And maybe belonging isn't just about where we are. It's about the direction that we're moving in, because perhaps there are years in our life, maybe seasons, where we're quietly getting ready for it, waiting, saving, healing, learning, finding the courage to go, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And maybe that timing and that destination wasn't ready for us, or we weren't meant to find it, or that person or that relationship. But that doesn't mean that the journey's over and ended. So if we're meant to change and we're meant to go through all these experiences, what happens when we don't? What happens when we don't change, Sparky, and we stay in the same situation, the same Groundhog Day again and again, and weeks become months, and it becomes years, and next thing you know, you're like, well, here I am. I'm living in the same place. I'm doing the same thing. What happens to our soul? What happens to our spirit? Inside, it knows what it wants us to do. But what happens when we can't do it, or we choose not to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I believe, and it's taken me a while to get my head back into this part, like where I want it to be. And again, this is opinion, I believe that no matter what our destiny is, we will be pushed towards it continuously. Whether that destiny is just ending up being a couch potato or getting something more out of life. Now, everyone can have different destinies. Some people can have... So for me, I wholeheartedly believe no matter how long it takes, I will end up being able to live and work through my acting.
Sure.
I wholeheartedly believe that because it is something that I love and something that I want. There are some people whose entire life revolves around comfort. All they want is to be comfortable, which is absolutely fine. There are some people who live for adventure. So every day is a new adventure to them. It doesn't matter what the day is. It could be going down to the supermarket. That could be an adventure. It could be, let's go hiking this weekend. Let's go do this. There's all sorts of different things. I wholeheartedly believe that whatever your destiny is, you will end up at that destiny. Yes, you might have to put a bit of work in. If you don't want to put the work in, there is a possibility that it could also still happen. You could stumble upon it, which would be amazing. But there is that question of what if you don't take the opportunities that are given to you? And life will continue to throw opportunities your way. But if you don't take them, what then happens? And you do see there are some people in life who do just waste away. But then you have the question of what was their destiny? Was their destiny comfort?
Sure.
Was it to do something else with their life? Was it just to exist and to experience existing? It's a very spiritual question.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone the other day, a good friend of mine, and we were saying that we both felt like we were living, we were existing, not living. And perhaps when we do get these opportunities, or if we're not leaving a relationship or a situation, it's a reminder that we're stopped growing, because we have to grow as human beings. We have to learn and embrace new challenges, because the tough times actually help us grow and become stronger. Sometimes we've become so comfortable in a chapter that was never meant to be our whole story, but we're in that Groundhog Day again, you know. And maybe that's one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes the greatest risk isn't making the decision. I'll get this right. Sometimes the truth is it's not about making the wrong decision. It's making no decision at all. It's sitting with it going, yeah, I'll do this. I'll get round to it one of these days. Some of us are driven. Some of us are being called. Some of us are being attracted. Other people, perhaps not so. Maybe that is their destiny. Maybe that is where they belong. I don't know. The more I've thought about this in the last so many years, I thought, well, maybe I'll move to Scotland. Maybe I love Scotland. Maybe I'll go to Scotland. I've got no problem moving to Scotland. It's got mountains. It has snow. I could live there.
And lakes.
Yes, I could, and very fine men in kilts. So maybe I could do Scotland. And then I thought, where else would I go? Where else would I want to go to live? You know. And then I thought about America. Do I go to America? I love America. I've got wonderful friends out there. Do I go there? Will it call to me? I don't know. Until I have the opportunity, I don't know. When I went to Italy, Pompeii, I was drawn to Pompeii. I had to go to Pompeii, Sorrento, Rome, etc., etc. But I think it was because there is something so amazing. And until you actually go, I mean, I've taken a few people to Canada with me now, and they've all said the same thing to me. I had no idea it was going to be like this. I had no idea that it would be like, wow. And then it was like someone threw cold water on me. And I saw, it's something about the country, and forget the political side of all the countries and everything like that. There is something about Canada's energy, especially when you're out in the Rocky Mountains and Lake Louise, Banff. There is something about that energy. It's just, it feels like it's palpable. It feels like it's moving.
I mean, from that as well, sorry to jump in, but from that as well, with mountains, it's very the tectonic plates. We'll go with that.
Sure.
So the Earth is coming out of the crust.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to explain this in the way that my brain is giving it to me, and
give it your best shot, Sparky.
It speaks in pictures and colors, so I'm trying to translate it. So there's an energy that comes from the Earth. In a mountainous area, the energy is stronger because the area because the area is from within the Earth's crust. So the energy that you feel a lot of the time could potentially be stronger, especially because we are Earth beings, magnetic poles, and so on. Gravity is very important to us. And I definitely think that is a huge part of it, because I feel that when I'm in a mountainous area, it's almost like I'm more connected to the Earth. Even with water, I'm very connected to water, but that's because that water has been there for millions of years and has circulated around the Earth. So as soon as I step into that water, I am stepping into the energy that is revolving around the Earth, and it feeds my soul.
I'm the other way. I hate it. I hate water. I like to look at it and go, it's very pretty, it's very nice, but I don't actually want to get there. And it's like, I think all of us have a calling, right? All of us have a calling if we choose it, right? What happens if you don't answer the call? And the more I've reflected on this, is the more I've realized that perhaps the biggest question isn't whether fate exists, or whether destiny is real. What happens if we just don't do it? We see it in front of us, it's waving a flag, we have the opportunity, but we choose to ignore it, and we stay in that relationship that's run its course, that is terrible, that there's no sex, there's no love, there's kids or whatever. We stay in that relationship, we stay in a job that doesn't fulfill us anymore, or a town that we just can't bear anymore. And there's always that little word that goes, there has to be more than this. Is this it? How many people do I talk to now that say to me, is this it? Is this, I never expected this was all that was going to be. Because, sometimes we've got kids, as I said, mortgages and etc. that keeps us there. But sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Like, there's a job offered to us, and it means that we've got to get out of bed, we've got to go and make it happen. And, we've got to take that courage. It means, oh God, I'm going to lose my lying. But maybe it's going to take us to somewhere we really want to go. Maybe you meet someone and they're completely different to someone you've ever dated before in your life, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, I've never been with anybody like that before. And it's scary because they're pushing you, or they're I don't mean that in a bad way, but they push you to be the better version of yourself, or encourage you. So I think, to me, when I ask the question, where do we belong? If something keeps happening again and again in our lifetime on a negative spiral, that is way of saying this has to change. It's not working for you. this isn't working for you, if that relationship keeps going back to the same thing again, or the job's miserable, or your health, you're not taking care of your health, or whatever it is, my back's playing up, I don't have enough money, I can't do this, I can't make this happen. How many fucking excuses do we make for actually not grabbing life and opportunity by the balls and actually making and changing our life for the better? We do it because we are fear of change, or because we are, not brave enough, maybe. What do you think?
It's like when someone's ringing your doorbell continuously and you just don't answer it. That's very much the kind of feeling that I get from it.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. And yeah, it's one of those where there is always going to be opportunity. It just depends as to whether you want to take it or not. And I'm now at the point in my life again where I can say that I don't understand when people don't take the opportunity.
Yeah.
If you have a way of improving your life or creating a new experience, life is just experiences. That's all life is. It's, if you break everything down, every single part of life is an experience. You experience living in a nice house. You experience living in a shit house. You experience a good relationship. You experience a bad relationship. You experience every single day.
Yep.
There is something else, which is why I've definitely, within the last 18 months, my life has completely changed, because I got to a point where I was just existing and I went, no more.
Yeah.
No more. I need to, this is my life. This is the only recollection that I'm going to have, because obviously you and I believe in reincarnation. And I don't remember any of my past lives. This is the only life that I'm going to remember. So why am I not creating memorable experiences for myself? Why am I not looking at the day and finding a positive within every single day to keep me going?
Mm.
And that's one of the main things that I have changed in the last 18 months, is I am looking at every single day and going, what good thing happened to me today?
And ever since I've seen you do that, the universe responds to that energy and goes, okay, then. And I think that's, how many times do you ring up someone? And don't get me wrong, we all have bad days. My back's bad, I feel like rough, whatever. We all have that. But we ring up someone and you listen to them, and it's like they complain about everything's wrong in their life. We've all been there, we've all done it, we've all had moments of it. So, and life is hard. Life is very fucking hard. And sometimes
that's why it becomes an experience.
Yeah, but sometimes you're along a road and you're doing so hard and you keep getting hit and you're like, why am I keep getting hit? But there isn't one perfect path. The truth is there isn't. Life will offer you many paths. They'll offer you more than one soulmate. I mean, sometimes you'll meet someone, and if you're lucky, you'll be with them for the rest of your life. Rare that you might, because, but there's more than one soulmate. There's more than one country. There's more than one career. And there's more than one.
Your soulmate doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship.
No, absolutely. It could be the dog as well, because I'm starting to believe the dog's my soulmate.
I'm on this side of the screen. Can you not point that way and say the dog?
And I think there are countless lives that we could live. I mean, I look back and I think, I trained as a therapist. I could have gone down, my life made me go down that particular road, and taught me some very good lessons, which I hope I've helped people on as well. But I still don't know why Canada feels like home. I don't know whether it's family history, psychology, timing, astrocartography or whatever, fate, or simply
Astrocartography.
that's the one, or
I gotcha.
simply because when I went there, I became the true version of myself that I've always wanted to be. Not because and people will say, well, why aren't you like that in England? Because I can't. Because England has the energy and limitations, because I've been in England more than I've been in any other country in my life because of circumstances, and it's held me back in so many ways. I've held myself back. I have put my life on hold, and people should listen to this because they're doing it right now. But I have put my life on hold for relationships, for a man. I remember, like, I should have been in Canada many years ago. I was with someone who said, take me out there, show me it, and we'll go from there. I took them out there. They had the time of their life. They enjoyed it so much. And they said, it's lovely. I think it's awesome, but I don't want to live there. And I stayed with them because I love them and I made a commitment to that relationship. And then guess what? They left and went with another woman, right? So I was back on the, well, do you know what? I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do this again. And I got back on that horse, and literally someone else returned to my life, took them to Canada, and now they're living there. So say no more. And I'm over here because my life over here changed. My mum got sick. My health was bad. I've not been able to just pick it up and go. And I did allow myself the thought of maybe I should go to America. Maybe I should go to America. Maybe that's where I need to go. And you know what? Part of me still wonders, maybe it is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know. But I think the most important thing is you go to where you feel happy. You go to where you feel that makes you feel alive and where you belong. And also where you can be the best version of yourself. That is so true, because I'm going to ask people to ask themselves this question: where do you truly belong? Have you already found that? Or is it still waiting for you? Have there been moments in your life that you felt that were too meaningful to dismiss as coincidence? Have you ignored your intuition? Because I know I have. Or is it still waiting for you? I have had moments where I should have listened, including that first relationship I was telling you about, and I ignored my intuition. I should have gone, well, I'm going, and see you later, bye-bye. But I didn't. And I think there's a voice inside all of us, Sparky, that is encouraging us towards the life that we're capable of living and is waiting for us. And the most important question isn't whether that voice is real, is if it's speaking to you, if it's showing you, are you going to listen to it?
Are you going to pay attention? Yeah, completely. I completely agree with you on that one. It's mad, and it's one of those things where I experienced this in Copenhagen on a daily basis. I mentioned about regaining my confidence. When I was in Copenhagen, that was tenfold. That was I was talking to everybody. I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care about overdressing. I didn't care about
true self.
I could just do whatever I felt like I wanted to do.
Mm.
And I think part of that as well is because I was in a new place and I knew that anyone I met out there, I probably wouldn't see again. And the ones who I did meet out there who I will be seeing again, the relationship that I had with them at that time was to the point of the confidence allowed me to be myself and to allow me to ensure that the person that I am and who I want to be on a daily basis was true to who I am.
Sure.
I wasn't putting on a front. I wasn't pretending to be anybody else. I genuinely wasn't even making sure that what I was saying was correct.
Yeah.
For that time. I was just having a conversation in the way that I felt like I wanted to have that conversation, and the conversation went really well. And the confidence I had, where I was able to, I remember when even now, I genuinely was thinking of this over the last few days. I could walk around Copenhagen and I could speak to absolutely anybody. I didn't care who they were. I didn't care where they came from, whatever. I'm in the UK and I'm worried about speaking to people because I think, oh, they're going to think that I'm a bit crazy. They're going to think, like, why are you talking to me? Why are you doing this? Why are you saying these things? In Copenhagen, I didn't care. And I felt so much more confident, so much more open with who I was. I mean, there was a morning, and it did end up being a morning. I was out until 4 o'clock in the morning with a group of Danish people that I'd met at midnight because I'd just happened to bump into them. And because I started chatting to them, I was learning Danish with them until 4 o'clock in the morning. It was hilarious. That is not something I would do here.
And the difference is, as I say, you go on holiday to somewhere. You go on holiday to somewhere and you go for like a week to 2 weeks. You're there for the sun, whatever. And you come back and you go, oh, yeah, I'd love to live there. But would you? I mean, let's use Mark as an experience. He goes to America all the time. He's always in Florida, or he's in Miami, or he's in Florida, or he's in Florida, or he's in Florida, right? He goes back.
He's in Florida.
Exactly. He goes again and again and again, but he doesn't want to live there. But he's drawn to Florida. He has to go back. Even though he goes to maybe a few other places, it calls him back to him. And he says, I don't know why, but I have to go back again. It's calling me. If I don't go, and when I go to Calgary, it's a reset button. I reset my button and I come back in a much better place because it's grounded me. But the thing is, I also like holidays too. I'd also love to go to Greece, to Cyprus, to America, to New Zealand, to other places. Of course I do. But in my heart, I feel this is going to sound terrible. I feel like I've outgrown the United Kingdom.
Completely.
That I have outgrown I will always be proud to be British. I will always be Brit and always be proud of that. But I have outgrown Britain. And I think a lot of people have, people come here because they've outgrown their country. But I've outgrown Britain, and I think it's time. There's a huge world out there, and we have one go of this lifetime. This is my only lifetime. I'm going to be me, Wendy. It's any lifetime you're going to be Sparky. If we don't take those opportunities when they're shown to us, we will, on our deathbed, will we regret them? Will we go, I wish I had? Because I think the only thing we truly regret is the things we didn't do.
Completely.
Not the things we did.
No, exactly. And I think one thing as well, you might agree with me on this. You're saying about wanting to go on holiday and going to different places and that kind of thing. Do you feel, because I feel this, of if I think about going somewhere else for a holiday, I feel like I'm wasting an opportunity to go back to where I know I feel complete.
Yes, I do. I feel like people say, why do you go back to Canada? And all the time I'm like, because I'm going home. Because I want to go home. And yet when I'm at Canada, and I have to come back to the United Kingdom, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
Not because I'm going back to normality. I'm coming back to the energy that makes me feel low. I know I've got to
Deflated and
come back.
drained.
I know I've got to come back. I know I've, you know, things are waiting. But for now, but life changes on a dime if you take the opportunities. I'd love to come to Vegas, Dave. Drinks are on him, apparently, if we go, Sparky.
I mean, yeah, you got to put a lot of money behind the bar, my friend.
I mean, you know, I'd rather spend that money on the machines, but that's or roulette. That's my kind of thing. But hey, I'd love to do Vegas, baby.
I could probably drink enough for both of us, so we're all right there.
What happens in Vegas stays in
Stays
Vegas.
in Vegas,
right?
Exactly. And Wendy and I come back married, and it's fine.
Bada boom. Absolutely. That would be one, wouldn't it? To like we get married out there by Elvis. There's I'm trying to pronounce this philosopher because I wanted to give a couple of things here. I'm going to pronounce it. If I get it wrong, don't shoot me. Søren Kierkegaard. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. What that means is it's only when you look at hindsight, right, and your reflections, do you truly see the meaningful of your life, right? When you're looking forward right now, you can't see it. But when you look back at your life, you go, that was the moment. That was the person. That was the day, right? That was the moment. Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This means that you can discuss fate and intuition until you bring that into your conscious choice. So this is the things that I'm wondering is maybe that could be but now I'm actually making that a conscious choice. One for you here, Sparky. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man, which means things are constantly changing. You're not the same person. And also Marcus Aurelius is one of my favorite. I love Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So if you don't take action, what stands in the way is you. You are your own worst enemy. You are stopping yourself from moving forward. But coming
I've
up
always
with
been that.
I mean, sometimes, life does get in the way. I'm sick. I'm ill. I don't have the money. I don't have the, it's not the right time. That's true. But sometimes we are our own worst enemy. We'll go
self-confidence.
I don't think I can do that. Like I went to a concert last year on my own. I went to a concert on my own. I'm sitting there and I have anxiety when I go to concerts. I have to be on the end aisle. I've got to get out, right? I've got to be able to get out. But I went and I thought, you know what? I did this. I took myself to Hampton Court Palace on my own, and there was all these couples having dinner and everything. And I walked in and they were kind of grabbing on to their husbands. And I was like, you're quite fine. I'm here for, I'm here for something else. So I think you have to push the boundaries of your confidence. You have to take a step. And for me, it doesn't matter if I'm got ill health or I've got disabilities or whatever. I will make my way up that fucking mountain. No matter how many times I fall down, I will get up there and I will make it happen. Because as Locke used to say in Lost, and he's my favorite character, you just fucking watch me. And that's a true statement. How about you, Gail?
I completely, absolutely. And again, key point, Denmark. I went on my own. I booked everything on my own. I even stayed somewhere that I never would have stayed before because it was completely out of my comfort zone. And it ended up being the best decision that because I stayed in a hostel. Everything in me says, don't stay in a
Wow.
hostel. That's crazy. You don't do things like that. But I did it, and I met some amazing people because of where I was staying. I got off that plane. I I did it all on my own. I traveled to the airport on my own. I got the correct flight on my own. I got off the other end. I found my way into Copenhagen. I found my way round. I found my way back. It's it was such a huge thing that, and I did have a moment where I stood there and I just went, I did it. I
And
did the thing.
I'm still waiting for the chocolate, that you brought me back.
It's there. It's there.
Is that? It's
Yeah.
there. It's waiting.
There.
I just want to. There's a sort of an argument going on here in the comments,
I know.
and it's a funny one because I'm just trying to bring this up, and it's Carlene is Dave says, when you're not a dog, you're beautiful. Wendy, you are who you are because of you. That's why we love you. Bless your heart. Come out. Dave, Carlene says, Dave, she's coming to me first. And Dave says, we'll come to Vegas. Girls' drinks are on me. Oh shit, that's a challenge. And Carlene says, no, my home cooking, they're coming to me first. And then Dave says, Carlene, rock, paper, scissors, winner gets them. And Carlene says, I will share, but I get them first. And Dave's going, hell no, me first. And I think that's really funny. We would love to come out to Vegas. And if you make it happen, I'm sure we can make it happen too.
That's right. We're very good at flying. So,
yes.
that's fine.
Well,
I also want to say as well, I love the fact that the first philosopher that you picked was Søren Kierkegaard, because he's Danish.
Oh, there you go. You see, I just picked it because I liked what he said, and I was like, I can relate to that. So let's have a look. Let's to round this up. I'm just gonna, before we look at some other things, but it's like, for instance, I just want to say this to you guys again. If there's a voice inside of you encouraging you towards the life that you think, do you know what, that would be bloody good for me, or I want to do that, or I need to make this happen. If it's talking to you, are you going to listen? Thank you for joining Sparky and me tonight on this journey. We have done 1 hour 54, which has just flown past.
Absolutely.
And it always does when you're passionate about a subject. Time just flies past. So before we go on to a few other things, I just wanted to thank you, Sparky, my wonderful companion.
You're very welcome, my love.
It's always a pleasure to work alongside you. We always have a giggle, don't we?
We do.
And we have another giggle coming up very, very soon, which we're looking forward to as well. So next week, Sparky, you have to be in next week. Next week is the awesome Paul Allen of Unusual Things, I think it is, isn't it? Brookwood and Beyond. He came a couple of months ago and he told us all about, his journey with visiting like the famous graves and also Brookwood. And I absolutely wanted to get to Brookwood to take some photographs. So I'm hoping I can get there soon to take those photographs. But Paul Allen will be here next week for Brookwood and Beyond, and he's just awesome, and he's going to tell us all about his Captain Jack Sparrow, which is now taking off for him. He's doing really well with that. Then we go into the 9th of August to Beyond the Six Pack. What do women find sexy about men? Totally looking forward to that one. I think that's completely. That's going to be quite interesting. What do we find sexy about men? So Beyond the Six Pack. And then the following week after that, the 16th of August, is Reincarnation, One Soul, Many Lives, which I know people have been asking us to do for so long.
That's something that we like to talk about as well, because, that is something that you and I have discussed ourselves since August last year.
Yeah.
Nearly a year.
I know.
Oh my God.
Anniversary.
Anniversary. And it's I'm just gonna throw back a little bit again of when you said about things happen at a certain time, because technically as much as we met in August, we should have met the May the previous year,
Oh, right. Did we? Tell
because
me.
we were both at Basingstoke.
Yes. Yes, that's
We were both
right.
at Basingstoke, but I was working as a guest assistant or like an agent, and obviously you were there with the Impala.
I was.
And I think that was the second year that you had been there. But we didn't officially meet. I remember walking past the car going, bloody hell, that's a nice car. And and I think I might have kind of like vaguely seen you, but we didn't talk until the following August, a full 15, 16 months later.
Well, I think you're right. You're meant to meet people when you're meant to meet them, and you're meant to be with them when you're meant to be with them. Because for me, it was like, I done very honoured that we done Basingstoke quite a few times, and it was incredibly busy, and I never really had chance to really talk to people. In the time that we were at Basingstoke, it was full on, and we would just crash into bed at night. The Comic Con was so full, and there were so many famous people walking past, and staff and security and people wanting to see the car. I didn't really get to. It was only when I went to Newbury, we got chatting, but obviously I'd seen you at London just before then, and I'd walked past you. I knew someone else you were with, and it was just like, it just seemed the most natural thing to go, here's my car keys, take them. And Mark was just like, just give me your card to a complete stranger. And I was like, no, she'll be back. He was like, you're so strong about that. And I get a feeling sometimes when I meet people, it's like, if there's a red flag, I'll pull back for a while. Everyone's entitled to fuck up and make a mistake, but if it keeps happening, I will pull back, full stop. With you, it wasn't like that. It was just like, we just chatted away. We got on. It was brilliant. And now you drive both of them. So it's like, she's got her hands on the Impala at last, Which
that was the plan all along.
I know it was. I know.
I'm kidding.
The whole plan was like, give me the lady. But I am so honored looking at, if I hadn't made that decision, if my uncle hadn't left me that gift, if I hadn't made that decision, I have changed people's lives. She has changed people's lives. And I'm completely honored and humbled by some of the people that have come to see us and have just made my day, and the children, the children that come to see the car. It's always, there are a few Impalas in the United Kingdom now. In fact, there is another one that is just, I've heard on the grapevine, another one is joined, but she remains the original one. And
as soon as we moved, I know.
You got to bring her in, right? You got to bring her in. And there's me. I was very lucky to meet Castiel. But I think, I also think as well that, I've met you through having the Impala. I met you.
I have a question with that as well, though, because if we were meant to meet at a specific point in our lives, if you didn't have the Impala, how would we have met?
We wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have been in that area. I don't think we would have, because I wasn't in that arena.
No, but I think we would have at that point in our lives. It's just the circumstances were very specific. But I think this is genuinely what I believe, that we meet everyone on our path at a specific time for a specific reason.
That could be a
So
very good point.
even if you didn't have the Impala, I think we would have met that August in some way.
Well, you know, I was a big Supernatural fan. I never even went to Comic Cons. Like, I never went to Comic Cons. I was a big Supernatural fan, and I never thought that I would. I mean, you know, I loved the program and everything, but did I want to meet them? No. I mean, I was okay. That was okay not to meet Jensen and Jared. You know, Lucifer would have been lovely. I mean, that was when I was so. You know, I think the Impala is, you know, when John died, my uncle died, he always said to me, you know, his last gift to me before he died, obviously, was the, you know, and from when he died was the Impala. And I always hope I've made him very proud with it, because I set out to make people's. She was the first, so everything else that's come behind is kind of like nicely saying this, like, you know, in my
You're an inspiration.
Is in my footsteps, because I was the first, and I'm very grateful and very proud to be that. And you know, tick that off the list. But for me, it's about it opened my eyes. People have come into my life through that beautiful car. I've met wonderful people. I've met children that were not going to, you know, they've come to see the car. They had inoperable brain tumors. You know, the car meant a lot to them. And I've just been a very small part. I've been on people's wedding days. I've been on people's proms, and you know, we're a small memory. Yes, there's more to the story. I'm a small memory of a very special day, and I will never ever forget the day that we met and how we met. And I always get in that car and I always think to myself, I wonder if my uncle's watching over me, or Edgar, the guy that owned the car, and his wife are watching over me. She is but you see, I was told, you'll never do this, it's never going to happen. And I was like, look, watch me, I'm going to do it. And I did it because I achieved it myself, and I have nothing else to prove to anyone. I did it. You know, there's that famous line on 14, is it 14? The Christopher Columbus, where Gerard Depardieu is Columbus, and he says, "There's always one difference between us. I did it, you didn't." And I think that's what I say with life. No matter how long it's taken me to do it, I will do it. I have done it. And I've done it with disabilities. I've done it with ill health. I've done it with no money. I've done it where I've been laid up in bed and I thought I'm never going to get out of here. And I have, because you've got to, life is for living. You've got to make the moment of every opportunity, because if you don't, then when you're lying in the deathbed, you're like, I wish I'd done that. And so when with the Impala, I have done it. I have achieved it. I'm very grateful. And I wish I could take her down Route 66. I would love to take her home and drive her down Route 66 and take her back to Alabama. And with all the signatures, I mean, because I've met Mark Pellegrino, I met him, and that made my year, my decade. And I still pinch myself and I go, you did that, girl. And it's the same with Canada. I will achieve that. It's just been the timing. And, you know, I guess other people got there before me. But that doesn't mean that I won't. Although I was there before them. So I have to say that. And the same with you, with Copenhagen. You did it. And you didn't just sit back in your bed going, or in your house, or, oh, it's too difficult, I can't. You know, if there's a way to make something happen, you make it happen. You know, I don't care what I have to sell or what I have to do, or go without or starve or whatever, you make it happen.
What I love about both of us is the fact that we are both stubborn as shit. And the fact that if someone, like, it's the key point.
True.
If someone tells me I can't do something,
Yes.
guess what? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And don't tell that it also works the other way. Don't tell me that I should do something. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Although if they tell me to stick my, to not stick my head in the gas oven, I won't be sticking my head in the gas oven. Just,
I mean, I'll stick my head in the gas oven, but I'm clever enough to turn the gas off first.
Oh my God, you crack me up. I hope that we're inspiration. Someone will watch this. That's the whole point about Wicked Women. We are here to make a difference. If only one person watches it now, next month, 2 years from now, we hope it makes a difference. And I'm really looking forward to the next couple of shows coming up. It looks, Paul's going to be fun to be around. We also have a fantastic guy joining us in September. And I've kept him rather secret because he's rather fabulous. So, and Dawn says she will come back as well, as is Charlie. Charlie was returned, and Dwayne. I finally spoke to Dwayne the other day, and he said, "Bloody hell, woman, where have you been?" And I was like, "I know." And I said, "Dwayne, please come back and talk about a particular subject with us." And he said, "Absolutely, I will." So, we like to surround ourselves with good people, don't we, Sparky?
Oh, yes. Because there is something that I learned. Here's another little learning thing for everyone. Something I learned a few years ago, that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you want to be a nice person, spend time with nice people. Exactly. If you want to end up being an asshole, spend some time with assholes.
Yeah, but then
I added the last bit. I'm sorry.
Don't you notice that some people, you can be around them and you try and inspire them as much as you can, and they still don't? You can't help some people, girl. You just can't help them. Yeah, completely. So we have been going 2 hours 8 minutes. It's been absolute fun. Thank you to everybody. I could just carry on. We could just talk about anything, Sparky. But
as we normally do.
We have some fabulous topics coming up. We have Paul Allen next week. It's going to be a great show. I really want to get to Brookwood if I can before he comes on the show. And obviously, what was it about the 6-pack? I can't remember it. I should bring it up again. The Beyond the 6-pack. What women find sexy about men. I might have to bring Dwayne in for that one. I don't know. And then... I might have to quiz him.
Oh my God, okay.
I might have to quiz Dwayne and go, "So Dwayne, what is it that women find sexy?" And then reincarnation.
He will have a very different opinion to what we would say.
He absolutely would. And then reincarnation is the 16th of August. And then Wicked Women takes a break for potentially 2 weeks before returning, I think, the first week of September, and then it takes a break. So we've tried to get some really good shows in for you guys to watch before we take a break. I always enjoy working with you, Sparky. Thank you so much.
I enjoy working with you too.
Yeah. It's been fun, isn't it, darling?
It always is, my love.
So thank you to Dave, to Kylene, and everybody else who are fighting over us. I mean, we'll be on the next plane out. If you get us tickets, we'll be there, right?
I have a passport. It is ready to go.
Well, I've been looking at prices to go to America, and some of them are quite reasonable and some of them aren't, Where should we go? The world's our oyster, right?
Indeed it is. But we do have our own little callings, don't we? So
we do. And mine happens to be a lot further away. Okay, before I just bring up the music to play us out, thanks for letting me express myself. Of course, Dave, that's what you're allowed to do on here. We love you too, Carlene. Join us next week for Wicked Women at 9 o'clock. And let me get this right, 2 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock in the UK, because you can't have Sunday without having a little bit of Wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sparky, hopefully you'll be back next week and you'll come and interrogate Paul and find out lots of wonderful things about him.
Well, I used to live near Brookwood, didn't I? So I know quite a
Absolutely.
bit about it.
You have to come. In the meantime, everybody have a safe week. Take care of yourself and each other, and we will see you all soon.